Hello again, it's Noob, and we have a really awesome KESO 10 lock here. And why is it awesome? Well, look at the key. This is pretty impressive. 3 axes of pins. We have 5 on the right hand side, 3 on top, possibly 4, but I think 3. And we have 4 pins on the left hand side, and you can just see that this is actually a pin mark, but that pin has to be set all the way in, flush with the inside of the lock. If you look down inside, you can probably see at least some of those pins going all the way down to the back. Can you see that? It looks like a gnarly mouth. I kind of like it. So I picked this earlier on this side and I over rotated it. You're supposed to use a plug spinner on these if you pick them, so don't turn them more than about 45 degrees, maybe 30. And I caught it in to it turned around and set again in the lock, and then I tried to pick it back, which I did, but I can't now get the key in. So that's a word of warning to you. Also, this whole thing is not meant to be taken apart. It's got fully sealed and crimped circlips and these roll pins, which are really hard to get out, I imagine. So I'm not even going to attempt it. I think I know why this lock came into my possession, other than the fact it was a nice trade, is the fact that the lock itself is a little unreliable in terms of its turning. It's a bit sticky. Sometimes it's fine if you just push the cam a little bit, but sometimes it's not, and rotating in the other direction again just needs a bit more coaxing. There we go. So I think that it's probably just a well-used, worn key that now doesn't quite match the bitting in the lock, and therefore it's a little bit sticky. Certainly, when I picked it, it gets really hard to turn the core past about 30 degrees. Unless you start poking around with the cam and stuff, and it's really strange, this one, but it is possible to pick, and therefore I think we should have a go at picking it, albeit this genuinely is a really tough lock to pick. Certainly worth having a pick at if you are a fan of Dimple locks and you're looking for a challenge. Alright, let's lob this in a vise and see where we get to. So here we are, all in the vise. Just to remind ourselves of the key, it's got a top bitting here with I think 3 pins, 4 pins on the left hand side. You can just about make above my thumbnail there the 4th pin, very deep set, shallow cut on the key, and 5 pins on the right hand side. And this does work after a fashion. It's a little bit gritty even with the key, but there you go. I imagine that it's a very well worn lock, and probably explains why we have it in the first place. So tension in. I'm going to use a left hand flag that's just long enough to pick the left and right hand sides of the lock, and going to tension clockwise. And I do also have another flat bar just to help us tension from the top, and also a Sparrow's Lunatic to pick the top pins. So yeah, let's give it a go, see where we get to. Could be quite a long pick, so strap in. So just making sure I've got that tension just right, straight down the centre of the lock. There you go, and yeah, let's start picking the right hand side pins. Little click on pin 2 there on the right. Nothing on 1, 2. Pin 3, little click. Tiny click on 4. Can't feel anything more on 5. Just running down the left hand side. I don't think there's anything there for us. Okay, so can't really feel anything left, so we're going to swap over to top of the keyway. There you go, put some tension on. get the lunatic and just run along the top of the pins. Tiny click on 1, little click on 2, oh, and another nudge on 1, and we've just moved a tiny bit further forward. So a bit like just a little movement on the core there. Just checking there's anything else. I don't think so. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, ready to swap back over. Keep that tension on. Pin 1 on the left is binding now. Even more of a core movement. Pin 2, little movement. Nothing on 3 or 4. Let's try down the other side on the left hand side now. Right hand side. Getting confused. Can't feel anything. Try on the left. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, swap back to the top again. Oh, little click on 2 there. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we felt a little click. Maybe it's moved on, freed something up in the lock. We don't know. Swap over tension again. Something's holding us up. But what is it? There was a click on pin 2. I think I might have overset a pin there. Back to the set. Pin 3 there. Go along the right hand side again now. Nothing on 1 or 2, 3 or 5. Got a bit of counter rotation there from pin 2. Get right on top of it. Just chip in pin 5 at the back on the right. Sometimes that does get in the way. Otherwise we'll go back up and try... Ah, I felt a bit of counter rotation on a pin then. Who was it? Ah, there we go. It was pin 3 on the right hand side all along. And now I believe that this is open, but the cam is very, very sticky. I don't believe that there's any more pins to pick. I'll just double check though. Check the top of the lock. Oh, there we go. It's just a little bit stiff, but there we go, fully picked now. Yeah, something's a bit odd with the cam on this. It's clearly very much picked. It's not going into a full set. I don't want to turn it any more than it already is, because you can really damage these locks by overturning them. So that is the KESO 10RS picked. What you do at this point is, assuming that it wasn't a slightly wonky lock, is you'd use a plug spinner in this to turn it all the way around, because if you end up getting some of these pins in each other's chambers, it all goes very wrong very fast. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed that video. I can't gut this one because it's fully crimped, and there isn't a way to get into it without actually destroying those circlips and possibly even the rest of the lock. Okay, see you all next time.